of the great job that our TV meteorologists do.
Right, and just continuing to go on through that, moving a little bit past the watches and warnings, how about some of your graphics you guys have? Basically, like what is a tornado? What are the different types? The EF rating that you hear folks discuss a lot, and maybe some myths.
Yeah, and they're all action oriented. We don't, we try to minimize the message that gives you information but doesn't drive action. We want to drive action. In fact, if you boil down what Weather Ready Nation is all about, it's knowing your risk, taking action.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm meteorologist Scotty Powell here with Carolina Weather Group. Wanted to give you a quick update. Some severe thunderstorms ongoing right now. The National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for east central McDowell County, central Burke County, and southeastern Caldwell County, and that goes until 3:30 this afternoon. I'm going to pull up the live stream here on my side here, so if you have any questions, I can see them. But again, this is 3:30 this afternoon. Okay, let me turn this down. Okay, so this is a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued. There is some rotation in this storm. This is over the Lake James area. So if you are in the Glen Alpine area towards Morganton, we are watching this storm closely. I am going to turn on our velocity signatures here, and you can see there's some weak rotation that is going through the Lake James area. Here's our storm track. And so Glen Alpine, Morganton, my house, Oak Hill, Chesterfield, all in this severe thunderstorm warning polygon as it moves off. So these storms are moving off to the north, off to the east-northeast at about 20-25 miles per hour. A lot of lightning with these storms, but again, a severe thunderstorm warning with a little bit of rotation in this cell. And I'm going to see if I can do this right quick. I'm going to try to pull up. Oh, excuse me. I was going to try to pull up our chat with the Weather Service right quick. So let me pull that up and let me get this radar back up. Okay, so now you can see the radar is up. So we are watching this area right here in the Glen Alpine area. So if you are in Burke County right now, you want to probably be in your safe place, your safe shelter. There is no tornado warning, but this severe thunderstorm warning does have the tag tornado possible. And let me turn that off. Let me get this over here so we can read this warning. See if I can get it to pull up here. So the National Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg, like I said, has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for central Burke County, southwestern Caldwell, east central McDowell County until 3:35. At 2:43, a severe thunderstorm was located 8 miles west of Morganton or near Lake James State Park. This storm is moving east at 25 miles per hour. 60-mile-per-hour wind and quarter-size hail possible with this. Locations to be impacted by this storm would be Morganton, Valdez, Gamel, Eikard, Cages Mountain, Drexel, Conley Springs, Rutherford College, Glen Alpine, and Lake James State Park. Remain alert for a possible tornado. This storm has some weak signs of rotation. A tornado can develop quickly from severe thunderstorms. If you spot a tornado, go at once into the basement or the small central part of your house. So again, that is the possibility of seeing this severe thunderstorm moving through mostly Burke County. That's where this storm is now. I know East Central Burke or McDowell is in this warning, but for all intents and purposes, this storm is moving into Burke County. So let's go back here to the radar. Let me make sure this keeps streaming. So you can see at one point just a little bit ago, there was really some nice inflow into the storm, and it really started to get some circulation. That's where we kind of caught my attention as it was traveling along Highway 70 towards Lake James. But as we move it in, again, this rotation right here, that is what I'm looking at. Let me turn that on. And so that rotation in this storm, albeit broad and kind of weak. It's still there, so we could see a pop-up, quick spin-up of a tornado. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that goes in effect, or it goes until 3:30 p.m., and that is for the Burke County area. So if you live in Burke County, you want to make sure that you are aware of your surroundings. Again, this severe thunderstorm, I'm trying to keep up here with this to see if there's any questions you guys may have as we go through this. So let me look at this again, and I'm going to reshare this out just for folks who maybe be watching. So let me check that right now. Tornado possible again with this severe thunderstorm warning. I'm trying to get down here to the latest one. So the severe thunderstorm warning has been canceled for the McDowell County area, but continues for Burke and Caldwell County until 3:30. Again, the possibility of a tornado with this severe thunderstorm warning. So tornado possible, as you can see with this warning graphic right there. So still some rotation now that's right up of a Glen Alpine, some heavy rain, possibly some hail with this system as it moves over the Glen Alpine area. So I'm trying to do three things at once here as we're talking about this. So just bear with me for just a second as I get this out. So I wanted to get as many folks in here as possible that lives here in Burke County. So again, a lot of lightning outside of this storm. It's really moving now through the Glen Alpine up through Oak Hill. So if you live in Oak Hill, this is also, you're going to see some very heavy rain. The possibility up towards the fish hatchery of seeing some large hail, Pea Ridge Road, up towards the backside of Lake James. So that is where this large hail could be. It looks like it could be up to 1.5 inches in diameter with this last warning. So again, I wanted to tell you about this severe thunderstorm warning. It continues until 3:30. Let me turn off one of these things here. This may make it a little bit better to see. So yeah, I wanted to turn that off. So here's the warning that's being cut back just a little bit, but let's look at it again. The East Central McDowell County of this warning has been canceled, but it continues for Central Burke County and Southwestern Caldwell County. Again, this severe thunderstorm located 5 miles west of Morganton near Glen Alpine, moving east at 25 miles per hour, 70 mile per hour wind gusts, and ping pong ball size hail possible with this system. So if you're seeing any hail out there, please let us know. Ping pong size hail, ping pong ball size hail possible with this system as it moves through Burke County. Again, it is showing a little bit of weak rotation, and I'm going to be honest with you, looking at the track of this, we could go off air here because that system is going to be tracking right over my house. Let me go into this. Again, this is the potential for a severe thunderstorm warning. This would be moving through Morganton here in the next little bit. This could cause some really heavy rain, the possibility of a large hail, lightning as well. So this is, let's put the radar in motion here. I'm sorry, I'm stuttering a little bit. I'm doing like 3 or 4 things here. So again, this storm is moving right through Morganton. So here's the radar in motion. Was sending out a message into our chat here as the potential. This could get real nasty here at my house, and this system is moving quickly through the Morganton area, showing some signs of rotation. I really don't like that right now. Let's go to the last frames here. So you can see these winds. Let's prog these winds here. These are about 55, 60 mile per hour wind gusts about to move through Morganton. This is where that potential rotation's at. So 55, 56 mile per hour winds coming right into Morganton. So we're going to continue to watch that. I'm looking behind my shoulder here. I can kind of see back towards downtown Morganton, and it's really dark in that area. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning for the next 32 minutes for central Burke County. A lot of lightning with this system, some potential for large hail. And again, that rotation, there's some rotation in this storm that we are watching. So if I have to jump off here, I have to jump off. But
Scotty, it's the voice of James in the control room. Do you need to go to a safe place?
I'm watching right now. We're gonna look for the next 5 minutes or so. We're just starting to tighten up just a little bit, so I'm gonna watch that. But if I do have to drop off, we'll continue the radar upstreaming so you can see what's going on. But this is a severe thunderstorm with ping pong size hail moving into the area with the potential of a tornado with some rotation with this storm. So these tornadoes could develop pretty quickly. And there won't be much warning at all if that does happen. So again, this is where I'm watching right here. This would be in the Glen Alpine area, moving into Morganton. So between Highway 70, between Glen Alpine and Morganton, that's where this potential rotation's at. I think we got Jared Smith that's going to be popping in here in just a second. So if I do have to jump off, he can continue the coverage. But again, this is a pretty dangerous storm that's moving in to the area, and we could see the potential for large hail now in Morganton or just north of Morganton along Highway 18. I may need to jump out and make sure my car's inside too, with the possibility of seeing this large hail. But again, a severe thunderstorm warning continues for Burke County until 3:30 p.m. And if you live in Glen Alpine towards Morganton, you need to seek shelter in your safe place right now. There is some little bit of rotation with this system and the potential for seeing dangerous lightning, 70 mile per hour winds, and ping pong size hail. So that is the potential with this severe thunderstorm. We do have some flash flood warnings that are continuing for central North Carolina, but right now, the main concern is this severe thunderstorm warning that will be moving through Morganton in the next little bit. Again, it is on my shoulder here, so I'm not sure if anyone else is in here. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen so you guys can see me for just a minute. Again, okay, so Jared, you're here. I'm going to jump off for just a second. I'm going to keep my camera going. I'm going to go make sure my car is outside of the hail, and I'll be right back.
All right. Scotty, good call on that. I'm Jared Smith, Carolina Weather Group. Let me, I'm going to take my radar full here. Give me just a second to get online here. What we're going to do, we're going to do kind of we're going to show you two views at the same time. We're going to show you the rain and hail on the left, and we're going to show you the velocity on the right. And we're just going to keep these up as we go. So again, as Scotty was telling you, there's a severe thunderstorm warning for a very dangerous severe thunderstorm in Burke County. It was about 5 miles west of Morganton. Looks like some very heavy wind is about to get right on top of Scotty here. Near Glen Alpine, moving east at 25 miles an hour, 70 mile an hour wind gusts, ping pong ball size hail. So again, if you're outdoors right now in Morganton, Salem, Gamewell, keep an eye on this. It could be a very dangerous situation as this storm, which is exhibiting, some decent rotation. So this is winds going away from the GSP radar. This is down in Greenville. This is winds going towards the GSP radar. So we have seen a little bit of rotation here, but most notably, if we look at the hail core right here, we will see that is, there we go. We will definitely see that there is definitely something wicked in this storm. It's a very icy storm, and unfortunately, this rotation continues to tighten up around Morganton. So we're keeping an eye on several sources of information here. And again, a tornado could drop at any time. I think that's the most important thing. No indication of a tornado yet, but it could happen at any moment. So again, sometimes without warning, and this does seem to have some supercell characteristics. We can see a little bit of an inflow notch right here, this wind going into the storm. And again, if you look at the radial velocity here from the radar, there's that little couplet right there. Maybe a little bit of contamination towards Morganton, but that definitely looks like there could be something there. So I'm going to sample the winds here. So this is 50, 60 miles an hour. This is about 5,000 feet up. So again, we're not seeing exactly what's on the ground, but this is some decent wind shear aloft, and definitely something to watch. The immediate issue is going to be the potential for 60 to 70 mile an hour winds. Straight line winds, doesn't matter if they're twisting or if they're coming in straight, they still can cause some damage. And so you need to be careful with that. Just had a quick warning update, but that just trims kind of the southwest part of the polygon. The warning continues until 3:30 p.m. As we're kind of looking at two views of the radar here. We're looking at reflectivity on the left. This is wind, this is rain and hail. And on the right, we're looking at the wind. We're looking at which way the winds are going, which way the winds are turning, and basically which way the winds are turning. Doppler radar lets us see winds going towards and away from the radar site, and that helps us identify the potential for possible tornadoes. We don't have a tornado warning yet, but there is certainly concern there that one could develop. And again, this is a very nasty hail core, and I'm going to tilt up a little bit. Looks like Scotty's back from hoping getting his car back, but I'm just tilting up on the radar here, Scotty. And I mean, this is a really nasty, very deep hail core. This is probably dumping a lot of hail there, waiting to see if we get any reports. Nothing yet, but definitely concerned about, definitely some deep rotation with this, broad rotation, but it's certainly deep and is getting really close to Morganton.
Yeah, Jared, I'm a little bit out of breath, so I was moving my vehicle and I went up to a little bit of a clear spot. There is definitely a lowering in the clouds. A little bit of rotation you can see, but nothing really coming to the ground. But that hail core is headed right towards my house. So I'm going to just stay on standby here. I'm going to help you out, but if I hear it getting crazy outside, I might jump downstairs until the storm passes through.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Scotty. Bail out anytime if you need to. We don't want to put you in a position where you're safe. And so, and again, I think that's an important note here. If the weatherman is going to a safe place, you should too, right? I think that is the. Usually, we're running into these things, but when we're running away from them, that should tell you that you probably should take this very seriously. And again, getting a new radar cut in, still some indication of some really, really big hail. I'm going to set this into motion real quick. Let me zoom out. And again, we're going to keep the wind up over here. We're going to keep the rain up over here. And I'm just going to set this. I'm going to just set this into motion, and we're going to watch how this has evolved here. And you can see that hail core is almost right on top of Morganton now. And so again, we'll be interested in your reports. And I just saw a report of quarter-size hail in Oak Hill, just west of Morganton. So there you go. There is your hail. Quarter size, that'll verify a severe thunderstorm warning. And it could get even larger. So we got to be careful with that. So again, we have a confirmed report of hail now in Oak Hill. Let me see if radar scope will show me Oak Hill. Apparently it won't. So let me zoom out a little bit. And again, you can still see that we are still concerned about wind damage and hail from this. Hail is confirmed. Hail is happening. We are still concerned about the potential for winds, maybe 60, 70 miles an hour. And there is still that look on radar of some broad rotation, little inflow notch here. This is definitely taking on the characteristics of a supercell thunderstorm.
Hey, Jared.
Jared, this is
James.
definitely...
Is this hailing in Marion on this camera?
Let me look.
Jared, this is definitely getting ready to go through Morganton. I can see it out my window right now. The city is just off to my right, and the dark clouds, heavy rain now moving into the area, and some probably 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts right now. So this storm is moving right now through Morganton. I'm going to let you do the main play-by-play. I'm going to be looking at stuff, and I'll interject as needed.
Yeah.
But if I need to get away, I will too.
Sounds good. And James just pointed out here that we might have hail on the main Skycam here. So it looks, James, I think this is hail. This is absolutely hail on the Marion Skycam here. I have it. If we want to, let me fire this up real quick. That is absolutely hail on the Marion Skycam. So we are seeing hail right now in Marion, North Carolina. That's happening right now on the Skycam. There's your MPing report of hail, pea-sized hail on MPing. So we are definitely getting hail out of there, but that is absolutely hail on that Skycam. Let's let's stick to that Skycam for a second, and let's look at what's going on. We got a lot of people driving right now. We want to watch to see what the winds do here, because again we're in that hail core right now, and we could get some of that wind mixing down as well. So something to watch for sure. But man, that is it looks like snow. That's not snow. That's hail. I mean, it's frozen, but that's hail. So so there you go. So now we're back at the radar here. We're going to keep this up in a double box here, so you can see we're going to have the Skycam on the right. We're going to have the radars up on the left, and again we continue to watch. And I'm still doing this two-pane view. We're going to show you the rain on the left, and we're going to show you the winds on the right. We're going to watch this to see if this tightens up. Again, it's not immediately likely, but a tornado warning is possible from this storm. It could pack 60 to 70 mile an hour wind gusts, some very damaging winds and hail. Hail is confirmed. Hail is happening. You can see it on the Marion Skycam here right now. Looks like it's let up a little bit, but a few minutes ago, this was hailing like crazy. Tornado warning is now out for Burke County. Okay, so this is new. We have a tornado warning for Burke County. It's not out on here yet, but the Weather Service and GSP has gone with a tornado warning for Burke County. At 3:09, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Morganton, moving east at 25. So that might be. So we have a tornado warning.
Jared, we've got major winds now outside, probably 50, 60 miles per hour. Tornado warning now has been issued, so I'm going to head downstairs. I'll be back in just a little bit. Yep.
All right, Scotty, be safe. And we're going to drive here. I am safely in Charleston, South Carolina. James Brierton is with me in Charlotte, North Carolina, helping produce today. I'm Jared Smith with the Carolina Weather Group. I'm in Charleston. I'm physically in Charleston. We're going to stay with you as long as we can here. We have a tornado warning now for the city of Morganton. I'm waiting for the polygon to come up here on radar scope, but we have a tornado warning for the city of Morganton. The possible tornado is over Morganton, moving east at 25. Radar indicates rotation. There's your polygon right here. So Morganton, Salem, Valdez, Sawmills, kind of just down I-40 here. Really, nobody should be on I-40 now between Morganton and Icard. So I hope I said that right. You never really know. I'm from Charleston, guys. So, but regardless of that, we do have there is the rotational signature right here. Scotty was telling us that he was experiencing 40 to 50 mile an hour winds at his location in Morganton. Just before he went off air, he went offline. We have his camera up so I can keep an eye on this place, just make sure everything's okay. Looking at the Marion Skycam, doesn't look too out of band. Earlier, this thing was like spitting hail, just hail everywhere. Hail has been confirmed with this storm, but now we are very concerned about the potential for a tornado roughly right over Morganton. Again, no sign of that on the radar, but yeah, there's your velocity couplet right here again. And when we have winds going away from the radar is in Greenville, Spartanburg, so it's southwest of here. And when you have winds going towards the radar very tightly here, right in there is usually where you have that little spin, and that's where a tornado could form. And it can form anywhere under that. So don't look at this as an exact thing. Again, this can be skewed a little bit. The radar is showing us what has already happened. This is moving east. It could be a little bit more east. So again, the call to action now for Drexel and Valdez. Drexel, pretty soon you're going to not need to be in your tornado safe place in a matter of moments in Drexel. Some very strong winds moving into the area now. And this tornado warning is going to go until 3:45 for Morganton. And then on the back end, so first thing is that you're going to get, you might get some very strong winds, especially in this little inflow area right here. Your possible tornado, wherever it might be, is going to be somewhere in here. And then on the back end of that, you're going to get nailed with some hail and perhaps some straight line winds wrapping around the back side of it. Again, this is a pretty decent supercell thunderstorm, and it's pretty well vented. You can see, well, we're going to do a little radar meteorology here real quick. You can see that it's got good, this has got like that eagle shape to it. And so that means that it is being vented out aloft. It's a pretty mature cell. It is going to, and is getting, and appears to be getting stronger. And it looks like we got Scotty back. Scotty, how is it going?
Yeah, so this, the potential tornado has already passed off to my east. We probably, I'm getting ready to send the report in, probably between golf ball to ping pong ball size hail briefly for about 3 or 4 minutes that came through. You could hear it hitting the roof, and the winds have really calmed down now. So a lot of heavy rain and lightning, but the rotation has left the area. So I'm out of breath. Sorry, yeah. It's been a crazy afternoon, but yeah, at least where I'm at, I'm coming back because that has passed off. So I'm here to help, and I'm going to get this report to the Weather Service, and then I'll be right back.
Yeah, Scotty, do what you got to do. You know, keep doing your thing. You know, we're going to relay our reports, and we'd like your reports as well. If you're in any of these areas, first of all, please be safe. Again, tornado warning procedure, this is what you do. Lowest floor of a site-built structure, interior room, bathrooms, closets, great places. Away from windows, away from doors. Stay at the lowest floor possible. Site-built, no mobile homes. You can't be in a mobile home. Unfortunately, we see so many tragedies with people who try to write out even severe thunderstorms in mobile homes, and so we need everybody that might be, you know, in a mobile home to find substantial shelter. Hopefully, there is some sort of shelter on the premises of where you are. Definitely recommend getting there and hanging out there for the next 25-30 minutes here, as we do have a pretty very strong thunderstorm with confirmation of $half size hail now in Burke County in Morganton from Scotty. He just wrote that into the Weather Service, so I can pretty much trust that. You just heard him tell you about it. This is definitely dropping some hail on the city of Morganton right now as this moves off into Drexel. The rotation has passed his location again, and it's looking, and the good news is it's looking a little bit more diffuse on this scan, so it's not quite as pretty on here, but we still have a very good defined inflow notch here. That's wind going into the thunderstorm. This is winds coming around it. This is what we call rear flank downdraft, RFD. We could see some 60 to 70 mile an hour winds come out of that RFD. And that we could be seeing some very strong winds just north of Salem right now. I-40 is still not a place you want to be driving at the moment. I-40 between Morganton and Salem, all the way over to Icard. Am I saying that right, Scotty? Icard?
Yeah, well, it's Icard, but
Icard. Okay,
yeah, Icard.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. See, this is me and my Apple stuff. I'm this Apple elitist over here talking about Icard, the new Apple product. Anyway, so again, if there's a rotation, if there's something going on, it's going to be right here. So now I'm going to really blow your minds. We're going to take this 4 ways, and we're going to look for the potential for debris. Now, one thing is very clear. Look at all. So this low correlation coefficient. This is called dual polarization. We can use this to find tornadoes. The good news is I don't see any signs of any. I don't see any signs of debris. That is a good thing. We do not want to see a lowering in that correlation coefficient, which can mean debris is falling.
Okay, Jared, we've got a funnel cloud now being reported in the weather chat. Interstate 40 at Enola Road. That is exit 104. So if you're familiar with Burke County, that's exit 104. That's near the Fiddler's Run Shopping Center, Patton High School, Liberty Middle School. This will be moving towards, trying to get my bearings straight here. So this will be moving towards the hospital, Atrium Health, Carolina's Medical Center. This will be moving towards the Bethel Road community, the Drexel community as well within the next 5 minutes or so. No confirmed tornado right now, but at least we do have a report in weather chat of a funnel cloud being reported on Enola Road. That is near the Patton High School, North Carolina Highway Patrol, J. Iverson Riddle Center. This will be moving into the hospital area. as well as Restaurant Row there off exit 105, the Foothills Higher Education Center. I'm trying to think, Sagebrush Steakhouse is there. So those are just some locations that are in the path of this potential funnel cloud that's being reported in the weather chat.
Yeah, so there you go. So there's a funnel cloud. We haven't gotten any confirmation that this is touched, but that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it could touch, it might not, but you want to do the safe thing, and you want to get underground. You want to get, well, not underground, I guess. You want to get in the lowest floor, interior room, bathroom, closet, site-built structure, and just ride this out. Just hang in there. Just ride this out. Should be moving. It looks like it's getting out of Morganton. Scotty, how are things on your end?
Where I'm currently at is still raining like crazy, but the severe threat has passed, and it's actually now passing through downtown Morganton. So if you live in Morganton, you're safe right now. The concern for that most severe portion where this tornado warning is will now be focused to Drexel, Valdez, Rutherford College, Conley Springs, George Hildebrand, Eichard, Lake Roadhis, and then as we go into Caldwell County, eventually Sawmills, Cages Mountain, into the Granite Falls area.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that it looks like this is tightened back up on the last scan here, Scotty. We still have that really good looking inflow notch. There's that couplet is looking as good as it has. So again, that correlates well with the report of near a possible funnel cloud. Well, confirmed funnel cloud hasn't touched yet. Let me just kick this in real quick and just make sure that we don't have anything else that we don't want, which is any debris. If we were seeing debris lofted at this angle, it would be about 5,000 feet up, which would mean that there would be probably something serious going on here. We do not see debris. However, we see a lot of beam to depolarization downwind, lots of lightning with this storm as well. Again, lightning is a killer. They don't issue warnings for lightning, but when thunder roars, go indoors, and you definitely need to be indoors right now, because there is a tornado warning until 3:45 for Burke and Caldwell counties. And again, this does include the city of Morganton, Drexel, Valdez, Eichard, Sawmills, and this is and this storm is moving. Let's see. Let me just make sure I got the movement right. Yeah, it's moving east at 25. We should have an update shortly from GSP on this as well.
Jared, I've noticed this storm's kind of slowing down just a little bit as well. And I am looking at the terminal Doppler. Once we get into this part of Burke County, we can start to get some really good velocity data from the terminal Doppler out at Charlotte Airport. So I know Jared's looking at the GSP. I'm also looking at terminal Doppler. And so the strongest portion, according to the terminal Doppler, will be moving through Drexel right now. So if you know where Antioch is, Antioch Church, Amherst area, and then it gets into Drexel and then into the Valdez. So we're looking at Halliburton Academy, Heritage Middle School, downtown Drexel. We're looking at McGalliard Falls Park. So that's kind of the location, even Drawn High School, that this rotation is moving into now. So Jared's giving you some of the radar data. I'm trying to, as the top of my head, think of places that this storm's affecting, because this is where I live. So I think it's a good tag team here.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're happy that you joined us this afternoon. Unfortunately, we wish it was under better circumstances. Scotty Powell, Jared Smith here with the Carolina Weather Group. James Brierton is helping us out, produce as well in the background. We are here because there is a tornado warning for parts of the foothills of North Carolina, Burke County, Caldwell County. This goes until 3:45, and this tornado warning. Hold on. Nope. All right, so that's a weather radio. That's an important thing to have. I'm waiting to see. I feel like if your radio just toned, we should be getting an update from GSP. I don't see it in chat yet, but let's see here. All right, so here's the potential for. The rotation is now moving into Drexel. So Drexel, we definitely need everybody there in your safe place right now. Lowest floor, interior room, bathroom, closet, great places. you know, stay away from windows, stay away from doors, and just hang out there for give it about 15, 20 minutes, let this storm slide through, and then we'll give you an all clear. But
Jared, I was going to say,
safe place.
I was going to say as well, there's a big construction area on Interstate 40 where this storm is passing through right now. We get wrecks on clear sunny days. So I know with this heavy rain and the hail that's falling, I would not be surprised at all to see some accidents on Interstate 40 just because the rain that passed through here was blind. I mean, we couldn't see out the door. So some heavy rain also moving along Interstate 40 with that hail threat. So looks like the continuation of that tornado warning. It's 5 miles east of Morganton or over Drexel, which is what we've been telling you for the past 5 minutes or so.
Yep, right here. I should get an update to that polygon here shortly. Let me see if I can't get you guys that a little bit sooner. But yeah, we've got, this is definitely right over Drexel right now. We should see this polygon update shortly, and so we'll have a better idea of where it's still in effect. We may be able to clear some people out of this, but Drexel, first you get the rotation, and then you get the hail and the blinding rain. So just because the tornado part may pass shortly, doesn't mean that it's not. It doesn't mean that it's over. As Scotty said, very heavy rain, and still the potential for quarter-size hail. Certainly in view here, we still see very good radar evidence of hail falling very near Drexel. Valdez is next. And then so there we go. So there's the new polygon, and Morganton, you are out of the tornado polygon. There's still a severe thunderstorm warning for the next 5 minutes. However, looking at the radar, there may be something else trying to kick up in Marion there. I
noticed. So, yeah, I've noticed that as too. It's something I'm watching. Maybe it looks like it may move more into northern Burke and McDowell, but we'll definitely watch that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now this severe thunderstorm or this tornado warning. Now some of our Caldwell County followers, Sawmills, Cages Mountain, included in this warning, and now Jared, it's kind of buttoned up against Catawba County, and then. So if you live in the Hickory metro area, that's something that you want to watch. And a lot of lightning with this system as well, Jared. We were talking about that. And we're seeing some what we call positive lightning, where these lightning bolts are happening well outside of the core of this storm. And those are dangerous as well because, you see this big old storm core coming off in the distance, but it's sunny where you are. So that is a concern, and the sun's popping out now here where I'm at. So at least the severe portion is moving through Morganton. You've been cleared, but now our attention continues on Drexel, Valdez, Conley Springs, Rutherford College, Eichard, and places like that.
Yep, absolutely. And we still see, we still have this pretty decent rotational signature here. Again, with the inflow right over Drexel right now, you're going to probably see some strong winds wrapping around the backside of this again. So just because you may escape a tornado, that is a good thing. We definitely don't want that. But straight line winds can cause plenty of damage. It doesn't matter if it's twisting. It doesn't matter which way. It doesn't matter how you get the wind. You could still see some 60, maybe 70-mile-an-hour wind gusts out of this thing. So we still need everybody in their safe place in Drexel, Valdez, Eichard, Sawmills. For the next little while, as this storm continues to head eastward. I'm going to set this into motion here, and you can see that this is kind of comes out of view there and is heading right into Drexel. Connolly Springs, as Scotty mentioned, you're next. I-40, really not the place to be right now, especially with the construction going on. We want to be very careful of that as well.
And Jared, let's kind of talk about, again, those safe places to be. If you are sheltering from this severe thunderstorm warning. You obviously, there's some homes around here that do have basements. So if you do have a basement, that's the best place to be. You want to be underground. But if you don't, you want to be in the most interior part of your house. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside. Normally with these tornadoes, what we see is trees coming down on the houses. And so if you're kind of on the periphery of your house, you have a better chance of being struck by one of those trees or tree branches. So you want to be in the most interior spot, a closet, something like that. And a bathroom's also a good place to be, but you just want to be away from the outside and away from windows. You want to make sure you have something on your head. A helmet is what I always recommend, but you just want to keep something protecting your head. It's always good to keep some kind of eyewear around, glasses, goggles, something like that to keep things from blowing in your eyes. And these storms will continue to move out. So if you live in central and western Burke County, you are out of this tornado warning, but it continues for eastern Burke County into southeastern Caldwell County. Again, a few minutes ago, we did get that report of a funnel cloud that was spotted off exit 104 in Morganton, and we've yet to see any. And I'm looking on social media as Jared's doing some of the talking to see if there's any of my friends and family who reported damage, because this is where I live. So it's kind of have an inside track to see if we have any damage reports. So Jared, I'm going to turn it to you. I'm going to keep listening to you and helping out, and I'm also going to be monitoring to see if we have any confirmed damage from this storm.
No, that sounds great, Scotty. And something to note here is that, the hail threat with this does continue. The hail core does seem to have weakened a little bit, but
I don't hear Jared, so his microphone may have come unplugged. So again, let's go to the radar here, and we will show you what's going on. This is a tornado warning that continues for Burke County. And I think Jared's going to be working on his microphone there for just a second. So this tornado warning, thankfully, it looks like the rotation is really starting to weaken just a little bit. So if you live in the Drexel community towards Valdez, that is where this tornado warning continues for Conley Springs. We'll put this radar into motion, and you kind of can see the progression of this storm. We did get a confirmed $50 size hail in Morganton, a quarter to nickel size hail in western Burke County. So this storm at least has produced some hail, but we have yet to see any confirmed wind damage reports. I can say that this severe thunderstorm warning that was issued for this storm has been canceled. So that is good, but we are going to hold on to this tornado warning at least for another let me see until it goes continues for another
15 minutes.
I'm trying to see when the timing is on this. Well, I can't see it right now. I'm reading it pretty quickly. So the tornado warning continues for the next little bit for eastern and central, or eastern Burke County into southeastern Caldwell County. So I'm going to pop back up. Jared, let's see if you got your mic fixed.
I thought I did. It looks like I should be going out.
I see his dots, but I can't hear him.
That's weird.
I'm not sure what's going on with that. So we'll continue to look at radar here and see if I can get this shared out. And so here's the tornado warning. It continues to head through Valdez into Conley Springs and Eichard. Also towards Sawmills, Granite Falls. If this warning was to be extended, you would be in that. But I will say this storm does have a history of producing some large hail, quarter-size hail in the Oak Hill community. We had a $50 size hail at my house just in downtown Morganton. So this storm does have a history of producing large hail. We did get that report of a funnel cloud a little bit earlier. That was off exit 104, but I've not seen any damage yet from that report. So we will continue to monitor this and see how it progresses. Again, this is the large hail core, at least, is now going to be moving into the Smoky Creek area. That'll be moving into Caldwell County towards Cages Mountain, over towards Sawmills, and then the rotation moving through the Valdez area and into Conley Springs. So if you live in Conley Springs, Eichard, Roadhiss area, you want to make sure that you're in your safe place, your storm shelter. You want to put as many walls between you and the outside. If you want to be in the lowest part of your home, if you have a basement or a storm cellar. If not, you want to be in the most centralized part of a sturdy building, preferably like a closet or something like that, to keep you away from the outside. So Jared, we got you back yet?
Scotty, I've rejoined. Can you hear me?
I don't hear him. I'm not sure if you guys can hear him, but I don't hear him. Let me let me pull up our stream here. We'll see.
For those of you who can hear me, in case you can't hear me, looks like
I'm sorry, I had it on mute. My bad.
Okay, all right. So there you go. All good, all good. Glad we got that worked out. That was a little scary, but everything is good now. But yes, we still do have a tornado warning for Drek and Burke. Wow, this is what I get. This is what Drexel. When you put Drexel and Burke together, you get Drek. All right, Drexel and Burke counties, not Drexel and Burke counties. Burke and Caldwell counties. There we go. Until 3:45. So we've got another about 12 minutes on this tornado warning, and we can still see that this is still capable, still a decent rotational signature. Maybe not the best it's looked, but it's now moving right into Valdez. And so you, at the minimum, you could see 50 to 60, 70 mile an hour winds possible from the storm as it comes through. It does look a little less defined on radar. It looks a little less defined. So maybe starting to get the outflow undercutting it. So the tornado threat from this may drop. However, I will say that the hail threat is still absolutely there. We're gonna look a little higher up in the storm here, and when you see that number hit 70, 71 dBz, that's this is about 13,000 feet up, and what goes up must come down, and so we certainly still have a significant hail threat here. Quarters may be larger as this moves eastward at let's see, 20 miles an hour. So it did slow down. So between warnings there, Scotty, as you noted. So it's about moving east at about 20. Still a lot of lightning in that core. I mean, you can see that. I mean, that is very electrical here. Right within that hail core. Definitely want people to be, if you're hearing thunder, again, be indoors, away from windows, even behind the storm, even places where the storm is leaving, we're still seeing lightning strikes over here. So just because it's gone, you got to wait 30 minutes until the last rumble of thunder has passed, because you could still be struck by lightning. I know that sounds, it sounds crazy, but it looks like it's happening right now in Drexel. Drexel is basically done with the storm, maybe some rain left, but there's still cloud to ground lightning in Drexel. So we need people to be very careful of this. Just because the threat is passed doesn't necessarily mean it's safe to go back outside right away.
And Jared, one thing about this is, we're in kind of that radar deadland in this location. Our nearest radars are the terminal Doppler, which isn't the best, and then sorry, my family was here asking. They have people calling, wanting to know my thoughts on it. But we're kind of in that deadland with radar coverage, so that is something also we'll consider. But looking at the chat from NWS, looks like the last reported funnel cloud was about 10 minutes ago along Interstate 40. So that is good. But Jared, you've got the terminal Doppler.
Yes, I do. And this is a different view. This is the radar at Charlotte International Airport. Looks for wind shear and is very good at looking for tornadoes as a result. And so set this into motion here. This is 1 minute data, so we can see how things are evolving as this moves through Valdez now. Still some evidence of rotation here on the radar. Again, this is winds going away from the radar and winds going towards the radar. We still have that look, and this still has a little bit of that hook right here on the terminal Doppler, and this is looking about 2,000 feet into the storm. So this is pretty good. This is looking a lot lower than we're getting at GSP. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick with this terminal Doppler, I think, going forward, at least for the short term, as we start to see this move out towards Ickard and start getting close to places like Granite Falls and Brookford, and eventually Hickory. It would not shock me to see them extend at least a severe thunderstorm warning a little bit downstream of this at some point. And of course, as soon as I say that, I am wrong. Yep. So
Jared, looks like they're going to extend where that warning is displayed at. But again, this is honestly, Jared, this is over Rutherford College, so a great place to eat if you're ever in Morganton, if you ever visit Burke County. But JD's Barbecue, circulation is coming right through there, and funny thing is, about 2 years ago, October the 8th, 2017, we had a tornado that moved right through this same location. So if you're all too familiar, if you live in that area of Burke County, of where this cell is. So I think we've got the new tornado warning out. This is going to be for Alexander, Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba counties until 4:15 p.m. So, new tornado warning for Burke, Alexander, Caldwell, and Catawba counties until 4:15 p.m.
Yep, and this will get graphically plotted here shortly. We'll have.
Let me go turn off the weather radio.
Yeah. Yeah, the weather radio works. It's a good thing to have. But yeah, so there it is. There's the tornado warning, and we'll have locations for you shortly. This is about, and so the new warning says it's over Rutherford College right now. So moving east at 20. So give you some locations in the tornado warning here. And the Weather Service thoughtfully put some ETAs in here as well. So let's just read them off right here. So this is going to be around Connolly Springs at 3:40, Ickard, Rodas, Hildebrand, Granite Falls, and Sawmills around 3:50, Longview, Hickory Regional Airport, Mountain View around 4 o'clock, Hickory, Newton, St. Stephen's, Bethlehem, and Lake Hickory around 4:10 p.m. North Lakes is also potentially going to be impacted by this storm. So again, if you are in this warning, not only could you be dealing with a tornado, but you could also be dealing with quarter-size hail and straight line winds, 50 to 60, 70 miles an hour. So we need you in a tornado-safe place. We need you in the lowest floor of a site-built structure. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Closet, basements are best. If you've got one of those, great. If not, no worries. Closet, bathroom is going to do just fine. Just make sure there's no windows in that room. Wherever you go, make sure it's internal and just hang out there. We'll give you an all clear when it's done. But this is a new tornado warning. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you exactly where it is. So this tornado warning extends from Valdez roughly out through Rodas, St. Stephen's, Bethlehem, Hickory, Conover, and Newton, kind of at the end of that. So here's your storm. We're looking at it from the terminal Doppler at Charlotte, and so this is looking about 2,000 feet into the storm, and we can still see signs of rotation. So this is winds going away from the radar, and this is winds going towards the radar. And we have that little velocity couplet right here. It's perked up and down, but it certainly is. It certainly has the potential for producing some wind damage at a minimum, if not a possible tornado. Looking up a little higher into the storm, we can see that rotation is a little better defined here. So the concern is that this rotation is going to recycle down to the surface and potentially produce a tornado in any of these locations. So again, if you see, if we've called your name out, if you've called your town's name out, it's time to take those tornado precautions, and just protect yourself.
Jared, this is an area that's all too familiar with tornadoes. Again, that event that I just told you about a couple of weeks later at the end of October of 2017, a tornado was on the ground for about 23 miles. It moved right over the Hickory Regional Airport. So this area, kind of a little bit more familiar with what to do during those tornado precautions. But as Jared was just saying, take it easy, head to shelter, and these storms will be out of here. And you can kind of still see that kidney bean hook on this storm there. As Jared's got radar pulled up there, the reflectivity, at least you can kind of see that hook. The velocities, like you said, we still see that rotation that's following along Highway 70. This will be moving close to the Burke Caldwell County line over the next few minutes.
Yeah, and we are. We're kind of switching back and forth between radars now. We've been looking at Charlotte and we've been looking at GSP. GSP is going to give us the lowest view into the storm, and so we're gonna use that more. But one thing that GSP has over the Charlotte radar is that it's longer range, and we're going to have a better opportunity to assess the storm structure. So, give me just a second here. Sorry about that, y'all. So we are still. This is the Carolina. Let's just reset things. It's about 3:42. I'm Jared Smith with Scotty Powell in Morganton and James Brierton in Charlotte. We are here on the Carolina Weather Group in live tornado coverage for the potential for a possible tornado moving through the foothills of North Carolina along I-40. Right now, we have a new tornado warning for Alexander, Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba counties until 4:15. The tornado, possible tornado, radar indicated rotation, about over Rutherford College, moving east at 20 again. If it's going to be anywhere now, it's going to be right through here. We'll set this into motion. This is going to be over the last 15 minutes or so, and you'll see how this storm has been, creeping eastward and continues to. It looks like it's ingesting a few other little storms that are trying to fire up ahead of it. So certainly a concern. We don't have a really great presentation on radar of velocity couplet right now. That's a good thing. But again, if we look up into the storm a little bit more, we're going to see that rotation be a little bit more pronounced. So there's definitely still the potential for a tornado. Potential's high enough to where the Weather Service in Greenville-Spartanburg has decided to extend that tornado warning further east. And so I'm going to just take this to one panel here real quick and just show y'all exactly what we're looking at here. So again, if you're in any of these locations, Valdez, Ickard, Rhodus, Mountain View, Hickory, St. Stephen's, Bethlehem, Conover, Newton, you're in a tornado warning. I-40 between Valdez and Conover, bad idea. Just it's going to be pretty gnarly through there right now. Definitely want people to be off the road, find the nearest exit, get into a safe place, convenience store, something like that. Just hang out. This will pass through over the next 15, 20 minutes. And again, just because the storm is behind you doesn't necessarily mean that the threat is over, because again, you're going to have a possibility of a tornado right here. You could then have a little bit of strong winds coming out around the back of it. That's called a rear flank downdraft. And that's where you could get some straight line wind damage. So again, some kind of a multi-threat here, and the potential for quarter size or larger hail. So Scotty, we got it all here.
We did, Jared. And, not dismissing what's going on right now, but maybe this will be a good time for us to talk. This isn't the big story. Tomorrow is kind of the big story, where we could see widespread severe weather that moves through not only the foothills, but also the Piedmont, the upstate, the Midlands, and even you guys at the coast of South Carolina and North Carolina have a chance to see this severe weather. So we had a tornado warning today. There could be a few more tomorrow as we expect to see more widespread severe weather move into the area.
Yeah, this unfortunately appears to be an appetizer for tomorrow. The good news is that we had a funnel cloud reported on this storm earlier. We haven't heard of anything new yet, so that's a good sign. That seems to comport well with what I'm seeing with the radar. With the radar velocity, I was just taking a quick look at social media, see if anybody had anything for us. And again, we want people to, realize that while today is kind of rough, tomorrow definitely has the potential to be rough all over the Carolinas, particularly in Western North Carolina, Western South Carolina, into the Midlands. Down here at the coast, it's still a little questionable as whether we're gonna get the best ingredients at the best time. We may very well miss out on some of that. I'm hoping, but there's still the risk, and we'll be assessing that a little later. Look out throughout the Carolina Weather Group network. We have you covered, and we'll have a lot more on that later today. But right now, our focus is on this possible tornado, possibly tornadic system approaching Ickard now. Ickard and Rhodus, and Scotty, I got to tell you, this is honestly a decent sign, because yes, we have some pretty good surface convergence here, which is definitely producing quite a bit of heavy rainfall and some hail. But what I don't see that red next to the green as much, so which would indicate the rotation.
It definitely looks like the rotation has weakened a little bit, but you can still expect to see some gusty winds, 40, 50, maybe even 60 miles per hour. But like you said, Jared, we saw that rotation. It kind of pulsed up and pulsed down, and then it really pulsed up. And now it's dying down as it moves into eastern Burke County. So, one thing with the system earlier today, as you got into more of the Piedmont of North Carolina, they had several rounds of heavy rain. And so we don't have as much instability in those areas as we did over the foothills, because we didn't have any rain this morning. We had a little bit of fog and low morning clouds, but the sun peeked out a few times, and so we had a little bit more instability. So as this moves more into that rain-cooled environment of the rain, I mean, we had flash flood warnings up for Cabarrus County, flood advisories up for Mecklenburg County. So as it moves more into the Piedmont, they've not really had a lot of instability down there. And that's just one of the keys that we have to have for tornadoes. Obviously, we have some more keys, but that's one of the ingredients. So as it moves into that more tranquil environment, maybe a little stabler environment, we may see this rotation continue to weaken.
Yeah, and again, I think it's worth noting that this is definitely not looking like it was. And granted, we're looking about 5,000-6,000 feet up into the storm here from GSP. This is definitely not looking like it was earlier. We had a very classic hook echo signature with a good inflow notch there, really good sign of rotation. This is looking a little more sheared out now. Definitely not as good. Still some rotation when you tilt up into the storm a little bit, and that's what I think the Weather Service is still concerned about. That yes, it does cycle down, but it could cycle back up again. We could see some of this rotation make it to the ground. But as Scotty said, as we get more into the stable air, it's going to be harder and harder for that rotation to make it to the ground. So still something we got to watch, and we still have a tornado warning out. And this tornado warning is going to go until 4:15. Looks like we have the. I'm going to switch back to the terminal Doppler in Charlotte real quick. And that'll give us the most up-to-date information. Again, really not seeing anything. This is looking about 1,500 feet, 1,600 feet into the storm. It's not looking impressive. But that doesn't mean that you can't get straight-line wind damage. That doesn't mean you still can't get hail. This is still very, very, very capable of producing hail. One of the characteristics of these radars is that they have a hard time seeing through hail. And I see this, and when I see this big red right here, and then I see very little downstream, that tends to tell me that, and this is now looking at 10,000 feet up. We still see a little bit of rotation here too at 10,000 feet. Still tells me that we're dealing with a pretty strong storm here, and it could still do some damage. Now, the good news is that we have had no additional funnel reports. Very good news.
The Weather Service just saying that the cell is not looking too healthy either, which is good news too. Maybe we can see this warning canceled early. I've been surfing through social media, and I've not really seen any damage reports. I have sent out a request if folks would send them my way. But, we did. I can verify here at the house. In fact, as I was moving my car is when it started to hail. So I'll pop up a few pictures on our social media accounts and in the next little while of the hail that passed through here. But we did have some large hail reports. But again, haven't really talked to any. Okay, well, now the Weather Service said just a few trees down, which will be sent out in just a minute. So those local storm reports will be coming out with some downed trees. So there's the first one on Mountain View Drive. I'm not sure where that's at here in Burke County, but it's somewhere here. So we did have some tree damage, some hail, but I haven't seen any really major damage, which is good when you talk about the potential of a tornado moving through.
Absolutely, and it sounds like it had a hard time making it to the ground, which tells me that maybe there was just enough stability, just low enough to the ground to where maybe that we may have evaded the worst of it. But again, we're starting to get some of these storm reports in now. They're going to plot on the map here as they come in. So so we'll be able to get those on a map shortly. We can match them to where the radar signatures were, and we'll have a pretty good idea as to exactly where things happen, match it up to the radar, and we can use that to help us project this forward in time. But right now, still don't want to let our guard down yet, because this is still capable of producing a tornado. We still have a decent amount of rotation aloft, and just because it's not at the surface doesn't mean this can't try and make its way back to the surface. Not
Jared,
the best.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I just put the radar in motion and played it back as those wind damage reports came in, and the wind damage report out of Drexel kind of tied up with the rotation that passed through at the same time. So that'll be interesting to see. I actually have family that lives in Drexel, and I was scheduled to go out and eat with them tonight. So when I go through Drexel, I'm definitely take a look and see if there was any condensed damage in locations. But that damage report that came out of Drexel kind of lines up with where the rotation moved through. And so that would be interesting. I know you've got yours up. I'm going to screen share mine, and I'll kind of pause it where the rotation and the damage report came in. So here's the damage report, and this is where we were watching that rotation. Anytime you see this little hook right here or a kidney bean, that shows us the rotation, the inflow from the storm, and then the downdrafts behind it. And so the damage report coming out of Drexel. So that kind of lines up, Jared. Would you not agree with where that rotation was plotted up?
Definitely does. And, and it could be, and now it's going to be up to determine whether, if the Weather Service gets any more reports from there, if they decide to survey it. It's one tree, maybe not. Could be, we don't know the circumstances by which that tree was down. Again, these are preliminary reports. Needs a little, certainly needs a little bit of vetting and verification of some additional details. But depending on how these damage reports come out, maybe Greenville Spartanburg will be paying a visit to the foothills to survey. We'll see what happens.
Definitely possible, but with tomorrow's severe weather coming, that we don't know what the plans will be for those folks, because it's going to be busy.
Yeah, that always is difficult because as we saw earlier this year with the Alabama tornadoes, they weren't quite sure which tornado caused some of the damage. Right. In southeast Alabama, and it's a very hard thing to survey these storms when you have these multi-day events. And again, as Scotty mentioned, tomorrow could be a very, very active day in Western North Carolina, in particular Western South Carolina, into the Midlands and Piedmont of South Carolina and North Carolina, respectively. Could be a very dangerous day with all modes of severe weather possible. And so this is kind of I've called this kind of an appetizer, and this is a good opportunity, if nothing else, to practice your tornado safety plan. And we still have a tornado warning out now. Now there is maybe some subtle rotation here, very subtle, not very strong, but there's still something here. And it's headed towards North Lakes right now. So again, don't want to let your guard down yet in North Lakes, Rhodus, Bethlehem, St. Stephen, Hickory, Brookford, Mountain View, Longview.
And Jared, I believe the Hickory Crawdads are at home tonight. So if anybody's out of the LP France Stadium right now, you want to make sure that you're in shelter. I know game time isn't for another hour or two, but if you're arriving early or something like that, you need to be paying attention as this rotation, broad rotation albeit, moves towards LP France Stadium there in the Hickory area.
Yeah, so that's a very good point. And again, the danger from this is it could extend out a lot further than just this area that we've been highlighting. Again, you can get lightning strikes out of the blue. You can get bolts for the blue. I'm going to switch back to the GSP radar, which is going to do a little bit of job of showing us the structure of this storm. The terminal Doppler at Charlotte is great for looking at the very low levels of the storm, but we like to we want to look at the overall picture here. And again, a couple things to note. One, this definitely does not look like the supercell that we had earlier. I'm going to take this into motion here, zoom this out, take it into motion, and that looked a lot better earlier. And by better, I mean better structure for the potential for severe weather. So that is so it's good to see that we're losing that structure. Still a very broad rotational loft. So this is still rotating. This has still got a little spin to it.
Yep, we just got that canceled. Tornado warning has been canceled now.
Goodbye, tornado warning. So yes,
Burke, Caldwell, and Catawba, the storm has fallen below the tornado warning criteria. The rotation, albeit broad, like Jared was talking about, looks like it's weakened enough that the Weather Service has canceled the warning. So going back there, Jared, it was a pretty healthy storm as it moved through Burke County, but I really believe as it moved into more of the Piedmont with that early morning rain, it kind of cut back on some of the instability that it was working with over the foothills.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're Scotty, it's interesting that you mentioned that you had some fog and some low clouds this morning and then the sun came out. It makes me wonder if this hooked on a little boundary and started spinning. And sometimes we can see that, the thunderstorms kick out little mini cold fronts called outflow boundaries. And sometimes you can get another storm on the heels of that. You can hook onto that and it can start spinning and for a few volumes look pretty scary. So This one covered some ground. This one covered some decent ground, and you know, we're continuing to get some damage reports in. Let me make sure that I've got the LSRs plotting on here. They should be. I don't know where they are. I don't know where GSP's LSRs are. Maybe they're okay. That's interesting. Okay, so here's one of them. Okay, so here are the hail LSRs going through Morganton right here, and the tornado. Yep, and there's the polygon is gone. It's polygon, Scotty. Sorry.
Polygon. That, hey, we like that. Not to be confused with Polly the gun that we follow on Twitter.
Yes, exactly. but we like Polly. We like the poly being gone. So again, now I would be remiss to note that we've got another supercell.
I was getting ready
trying to come up down here towards Shelby and Kings Mountain. So
that's going to have to be watched, especially that one down coming into the Bullen Springs area. It's really starting to get a little bit of a hook on it.
Scotty, this is definitely on a boundary. I'm going to switch this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on full detail here. It's something called expert mode in radar scope for those of you who might be familiar with it. And you can see, I'm going to set this into motion again, and you can see that this storm seems to be hooking on a little bit of a boundary right here. And it looks like that this is kind of the focal point for some of these. And it looks like we got another storm that might be trying to hook in a little bit more here too. So out of an abundance of caution, Scotty, if you can, I think we should stay with this for a few minutes and see what they do.
Let's watch it and see what it does. I definitely agree with you. Something that I'm watching as well, that while you were talking, it was kind of focused on where we were, and I zoomed the radar out, and I was like, oh man, we've got to watch this stuff down here. So
yeah, there's definitely some sort of boundary here on which that these storms are hooking onto and rotating a little bit. So again, we have a new thunderstorm going up around Shelby. It's really started to put out some lightning here. It's just east of Shelby now. This is going to be headed towards Cherryville, but if it starts to turn right a little bit, we're going to need to keep an eye on that for Bessemer City and maybe Kings Mountain. High Shoals, Dallas, and Gastonia is going to want to watch this one closely down the line as well, see if it holds up. Again, we have some more stable air towards the Charlotte area where there's still a flash flood warning out in Rock Hill and Tigaki down there south of Charlotte. So we still have a flash flood warning here. So there's been a lot of rain here. Hopefully this gets into the stable air sooner rather than later. We don't have any more problems.
Yeah, and Jared, you're watching Radar Scope. I've got GR. These are just different radar programs that we use, and the GR product kind of shows us where these hell cores are developing. It looks like there could be a small hell core starting to develop over the downtown Shelby area. That tells us a lot of lightning uptick as well. So that tells us that storm is really strengthening as the updraft continues to push upwards. So we will have to watch that as well, because we know the storm that we were just talking about did produce hail. So the environment is right in this area to see some large hail. And so that's something we'll watch. I've not seen anything from the Weather Service yet about it, but we're going to continue to watch that.
Yeah, you got to think that GSP is keeping a close eye on this one. I was tilting up and down a little bit. Again, cool thing about the NextRad network is that you can look at multiple layers of the storm. And so I'm tilting up into the storm a little bit. And there's a rotation here in the mid-levels, about 6,000 feet up. And so, and keep in mind that it was 5,000 or 6,000 feet up when they warned on it.
I'm going to say this is also closer to the radar as well. So we're getting a little bit better data being fed in from this storm as well.
Yeah, there definitely seems to be, and there's definitely some sort of boundary here. It's very hard to make out, but I think I see it. Maybe I'm seeing things. I don't know. I'm going to switch to a really nerdy product and look at this. It's something called spectrum width, and it shows us where the turbulence is in the velocity data. This is extremely nerdy. This is as nerdy as it gets, and
you don't get this on TV. So
you don't get this on TV. Nobody ever shows spectrum width on TV. Most people don't really understand it, and so it's a forgotten product. But it tells me a lot, because it tells me that the winds are fairly uniform through here, where it's darker, but where it's you get the oranges and the reds, it's a little bit more chaotic, and that often can indicate where a boundary is. And as you get storms hooking onto these boundaries, sometimes that wind shift there can induce rotation. So that is definitely something that we've got to keep an eye on. for these is they could spin something up quickly. Now, I will say that, you know, there's also the potential for maybe a little bit of contamination in the radar data on the east side of it. You can see that sometimes. And when you look at it in that view, maybe it's not as impressive. It looks, but we do have, you can see the updraft on radar. You can see where it's converging. That's wind's going away, wind's going towards the radar. And you can see it's converging right over Shelby. And this is pretty well correlated to where that hail core is starting to come up. Up there, we may have so we can see it in the higher tilt right here. A little bit of a hail core starting to do its thing. So definitely something to keep an eye on. I wouldn't be shocked to see if this continues to grow. We may see at least a severe thunderstorm warning triggered out here.
Yeah, Jared, I'm looking at, if you live in Light Oak, Waco, into Cherryville, you definitely are going to probably see a strong storm. And like you said, that hail core is really starting to pulse just a little bit. So, and lightning, lightning is a big thing for us, Jared. Obviously it's dangerous, but for us as a meteorologist, when we see these storms develop and we see a lot of lightning that's going on in a storm, we know that storm's continuing to develop and get a little bit stronger. As you are showing right here on our screen, you can see just to the east of Shelby, that kind of core of lightning really starting to develop. So it looks like we still have a developing storm that's going to be moving into Waco and Cherryville, maybe even Bessemer City, maybe the upper portions of Bessemer City over the next 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so.
Yep, I think if there's one good thing about this is, yes, we do have a little bit of rotation. It actually looks like it's collapsing now if you get up into the upper levels a little bit more. We still have a little bit of rotation at 6,000 feet, but when we start going down to 5,000 feet and 3,500 feet, we don't see that rotation making it further down. That's good. I was
going to say, when we see those collapse, though, that's
when the problem could be.
Yeah, we can see those winds gusting.
So. Yep, absolutely. So just because it's not spinning doesn't mean it couldn't pose a problem. I mean, the wind speed is. And I need to log in and actually produce it a little bit real quick. But,
that's fine. I can take over for a second.
Yeah, Scotty, if you could take over for a second, I'm going to produce a little bit, and we'll go from there.
We can do that. We needed to update our lower thirds. So as Jared was talking about, the wind is wind, no matter if it's rotating or blowing in a straight line. If it's blowing or strong enough, it can create damage. And so we're going to continue to watch this cell that is over just to the east of Shelby, between Shelby and Cherryville. So if you live there on Highway 150, outside of Shelby, that is where this storm will be moving through. Places like Waco, Light Oak, you're seeing that. The last radar frame, we're kind of seeing that storm dissipate just a little bit more. So that's good news. We did have that corridor of rain that moved through earlier and created some flash flood warnings in York and Cabarrus County, some flood advisories for Mecklenburg. And as it moves more into eastern Cleveland, into Gaston and Lincoln County, they saw some of that rain earlier this morning as well. So it's moving into a more stable environment, which will kind of prohibit those storms from developing. Not going to say it wouldn't be severe, but it just doesn't have enough energy to work with as the storm that passed through the foothills earlier. But again, if you live in the Light Oak and Cherryville community, you definitely can see some gusty winds moving in, some heavy rain, maybe even a little bit of small hail as this storm continues to move through the area. Definitely the lightning threat continues between Shelby and Kings Mountain there along Highway 74, Interstate 85, and then up through Highway 180 and 150 there just outside of the Shelby area. And again, the possibility of seeing some gusty winds as well as the storm starts to weaken a little bit. Remember, what comes up must come down. So that air, that wind, those updrafts will collapse. And when that collapses, it sends out this kind of like a gust front. And